Welcome to the Astrology Show with your host, Kelli Fox. Each week, Kelli will give you access to the current transits that are a valuable tool which provide astrological information to help unlock the potential each of us has through our sun sign. Understanding the current planetary influences each week can help steer us in the right direction to make better informed choices. Sometimes, events in your life may seem completely random, but there is a pattern to the order of these events, one set in motion in part by you, and in part by the planets and stars in the sky and their influence on your life here on Earth. So if you're wondering what's going to happen in your week ahead, if you're going to get that promotion, move to a new city, or fall in love, tune in to the Astrology Show for guidance. It can help you anticipate problems before they occur, give you tools to cope with changes, and help you look forward to the wonderful days ahead. Kelli Fox is a professional astrologer and internet pioneer who launched Astrology.com, one of the first and most successful astrology websites. Today, her passion lies with her new site, theastrologer.com, where she brings a modern-day approach to an ancient wisdom. Please join Kelli each week to learn more about how the planets can align for you.
Hi there, and welcome to the Astrology Show. I'm your host and astrologer, Kelli Fox. And today I'm going to talk about spring. Spring, the vernal equinox, and when the sun enters Aries on Saturday. Throughout today's show, I'm going to be talking about spring, then I'm going to be talking about the season of spring and what we can expect during this time through the summer solstice, which is June 20th. And then I will go through the weekly horoscopes and what we can expect for this week. Last week, I talked about the solar eclipse in Pisces, and I heard from many people that last week was very intense in different ways because it will be affecting everybody in a different way. But overall, the intensity was the theme for last week. Next week, we have a lunar eclipse, and on next week's show, I will be talking about the lunar eclipse and how that will be affecting you and your sign. So, today, spring. Spring is upon us. Technically, it's Saturday the 19th of March. That springtime will occur at exactly 9:31 p.m. Pacific time, or Sunday midnight, just after midnight, 12:31 on Sunday the 20th. And you might be wondering what spring has to do with astrology. Well, it marks the start of the astrological new year. So springtime is the point at which the sun moves into Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and it's the beginning. It's a new cycle, it's a new season, and it's also the time of when we want to start from the beginning or start afresh and everything's brand new. It's a time of renewal. And I found some really funny, cute, sweet, nice quotes about spring because I wanted to get more information about what spring meant to many different people. And here's some quotes. This one is from Leo Tolstoy from Anna Karenina. Spring is the time of plans and projects. And of course, that's with the theme of renewal, beginnings, new cycle, fresh approach, spring cleaning. Here's another one, Yoko Ono. Spring passes and one remembers one's innocence. Summer passes and one remembers one's exuberance. Autumn passes and one remembers one's reverence. Winter passes and one remembers one's perseverance. Another one, Ernest Hemingway from A Movable Feast. When spring came, even the false spring, there were no problems except where to be happiest. The only thing that could spoil a day was people, and if you could keep from making engagements, each day had no limits. People were always the limiters of happiness, except for the very few that were as good as spring itself. So when you mention the word spring to people, there's usually, we think of flowers blooming, the sun shining, people are getting out more. It's like a breath of fresh air. That's what spring reminds me of. It's a time when the nights are the same length of the days. So we have 12 hours of nighttime and 12 hours of daytime. So days and nights are of equal length. As the days progress closer toward the equinox, the summer equinox in the Northern Hemisphere, the days become longer. And you may have heard that the summer the summer solstice is the longest day of the year. So that's due to the Earth's tilt and getting more sunlight, or the Earth in the Northern Hemisphere, more of the land mass in the Northern Hemisphere faces the sun. So that's why the days get longer as we progress toward the solstice. So each year, the spring equinox occurs around March, usually it's around March 20th. This year, it's a little bit earlier in the Pacific. Of course, if you're on the East Coast, it will be around the 20th. And as I said, it's when the sun enters Aries, the very first sign of the zodiac, and the spring season officially begins in the Northern Hemisphere. Of course, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, from when I was born in the Southern Hemisphere, it marks the first day of autumn. And in both hemispheres, the sun rises due east and sets due west. So no matter which hemisphere you're in, the days are of equal length. And so I think as well, the holidays around the time of spring, or what happens throughout spring. Easter is a time of renewal, rebirth. There's Easter eggs, that's representing birth and renewal. And it usually relates to fertility as well during this time, and hope for successful crops in the field. And it's a time for things coming about. It's been associated with a time where we come into our own, we bloom. That's the expression. We're blooming at this time. It's also a time of people are getting more looking forward to spring break, young people's on their spring break, and then, of course, looking into summer where the weather gets warmer. There's also an expression, spring cleaning. So spring cleaning goes with the theme of discarding what we don't want, making things tidy and clean and new. We get rid of everything that doesn't work for us, and it fits with the theme of rebirth. So the spring cleaning, we're not stuck indoors, the weather is warmer, and it's just a time of hope, really. And when I relate it back to Aries, Aries being the first sign of the zodiac. Aries is the baby of the zodiac. It's all about new beginnings. There's an innocence as well around this time, and it's just a time of starting, initiating, which Aries is a cardinal sign, and that energy is all about new beginnings and starting things and being a trendsetter, trying things that we might not have tried before. It's a time of optimism and also courage and bravery. So astrologically, there's a lot of things going on at this time, which I will address after the break. But if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, it's the Autumn Equinox. So people in the Southern Hemisphere are moving into the fall season. So it's a time when we hope that the crops have produced what we planted in the springtime, and we're getting ready, not so much for hibernation, but getting ready to hunker down with the cold weather, which the winter in the Southern Hemisphere is June, July, and August, very cold months. And it's a time when we look to not spring cleaning, but it's the opposite. So everything in the Northern Hemisphere is the opposite to the Southern Hemisphere. So as I said, the days and nights are of equal length. The trees change colours, the leaves fall to the ground, and it's more shifting from an extroverted energy to an introverted energy, whereas here in the Northern Hemisphere, we're moving from an introverted type of energy. Our previous season was the winter, so we're more indoors, and as I said, hibernation, but it's a time to get ready for the winter if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. After the break, I will review the season and what's happening astrologically, what's coming up this season of spring.
The future of Internet radio is here. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hi, this is Julie Geigel.
I'm Maggie Chula.
And I'm Catherine Glass.
And we're the Psychic Angel Channelers. Join us every week here on OMTimes Radio for Angel Talk Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
The angels have heard your call and are here to help.
Are you ready to receive?
Remember your magnificence with Angel Talk Tuesday.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the Internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
Come heal yourself. What is healing? Healing is nothing but connecting with your all-knowing higher self that already has solutions to all your problems and is always there to guide you. Through this show, we help you to connect with that you are and tap into that innate potential you have to transform your life and fly high. Please join me, your host Monica Goyal, every Sunday 7 p.m. Pacific Namaste.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hi there. Thanks for joining me. I'm Kelli Fox, and this is the Astrology Show. And today I'm talking about spring. New season will begin on Saturday. Springtime. And springtime is the start of a new cycle. And according to astrology, it's the astrological new year. So the astrological new year represents a brand new cycle. So every year, astrologers all over the world celebrate the astrological new year, which coincides with spring, the first day of Aries, and it's called the vernal equinox. So if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, it's springtime. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you'll be celebrating the autumn or the fall equinox, because each hemisphere is opposite. It's reflective of the other. So today I'm talking about spring, and this segment I'm talking about what is going on this season. What's the forecast? What is happening from now through the summer solstice in June? Well, next week we have the lunar eclipse, but I will be dedicating next week's show to the lunar eclipse and how that affects you and your sign. So I will save the detail for then. But the other big news we have this season is Mars will be retrograde. So Mars is the warrior planet. Mars in ancient mythology was the god of war. Now, it's not all negative. Mars is not all negative. Planets have their positive and negative sides. They have a shadow side. So the influence of Mars represents how we assert ourselves, what we go after, what motivates us, what drives us, why do we do what we do is represented by all the planets in all the signs at the time we were born. But Mars really is significant because it's how we assert ourselves in the world. So Mars is very much an extroverted energy. It's a very masculine, testosterone-driven energy. And when it's retrograde, which means it appears to be traveling backwards in its orbit around the sun, technically the planets don't actually travel backwards. They just appear to be traveling backwards from our perspective here on Earth. They just slow down. They slow down so much that they look like they're traveling backwards. So Mars will be turning retrograde on April 17th, and it will be traveling backwards through Sagittarius, and then it moves backwards into Scorpio, and it will continue its backward journey through June 29th. So what that is, it's about internalizing energies. And so depending on where it will affect you personally in your astrological chart gives all different meanings and flavors. But Mars retrograde will definitely be affecting all of us. And so the fight of Mars, the way that things are asserted or how we speak up, is definitely more internal. Mars goes retrograde approximately once every 2 years, and it's a period usually of about 10 weeks. It's complicated this time because it moves backwards through both the signs of Sagittarius and Scorpio. Now, Mars is the natural ruler of Scorpio, so people born towards the end of Scorpio may really feel the effects. And anytime a planet, particularly a planet, Mercury, Venus or Mars, whenever they turn retrograde, there's usually issues from the past that need to be resolved. So things that we have left undone or haven't been completed will come to the surface again. And as I said, for Scorpios and Sagittarians more so, or anybody that has planets in those signs. The key thing to understand about Mars retrograde is that it's not the time to start anything new. So it's a bit of a dichotomy because we're in the season of newness, freshness, new beginnings. Spring is a time of rebirth and renewal. And then you've got Mars thrown into the mix, which is moving backwards. So this may be a very frustrating time when Mars is retrograde between April 17th and June 29th. We may want to start something, particularly for these two signs, and yet there'll be obstacles or barriers or challenges. It may be an extremely frustrating time. Mars's energy is all about go, go, go. But when it's backwards, it's, I guess, stop and slow down, which goes against the nature of Mars, which is the initiator, the striver, the starter. New projects started during this time may backfire, may be halted. There won't be enough information to move forward. This period with Mars retrograde is best used for reflection and planning rather than taking any sort of action. It's a better time to strategize about what to do instead of actually taking that action step towards putting any plans into place. So hold off if you can to start anything new at that time. When Mars retrograde's travelling through the philosophical sign of Sagittarius, energies will be directed towards religion and ideologies, philosophies. For many, it could involve a crisis of faith, maybe a sudden questioning of our values and beliefs that we've previously taken for granted. Sagittarius is an adventurous, active sign, but when Mars is retrograde, we don't feel that optimism as much. There might be a little bit of pessimism or bitterness. But when Mars moves backwards into Scorpio from Sagittarius, the energy may get a lot darker. As I said, Mars is the ruler of Scorpio, so it's happy there in one way, but it's really frustrated being halted or stopped with what it wants to do. I'm just looking up the date now of the date that it moves back into Scorpio is May 27th. So May 27th, Mars retrogrades from Sagittarius to Scorpio. And so things will arise from the past, deep, dark things, because Scorpio is a sign of mystery. And so things will come up from the past that haven't been resolved. There could be some suppressed or repressed anger that comes out. Anything that's hidden and private may not be hidden and private anymore. On the world stage and also on a personal level, perhaps issues of abuse, power, trauma, things that need airing and talking through, and public anger over cover-ups may be what's on the table at this time as well. And Mars in Scorpio is an energy that's very passionate, so there could be the reappearance of a former lover even, which may disrupt an existing relationship. Especially with this season, the lunar eclipse of next week is all about relationships. Jealousy is another emotion that might arise at this time, because that would be an expression of Mars in Scorpio retrograde. And so it sounds alarming, but it's important to remember that anger is not always a negative thing. If we channel our anger in the right direction, it can be a very good force for change. And that's what this season is all about, is change and renewal. Sometimes it's not just handed to us easily. We have to go through some angst or some issues before we can get to that point. Now, the other thing during this season, we're going to have Mercury retrograde in Taurus from April 28th through May 22nd. So what that means is Mercury is a planet of communication. Retrograde means moving backwards. And so communication may be challenged during the period April 28th through May 22nd, and it will be retrograde in Taurus. So Taurians out there or any other fixed signs may be challenged when it comes to communication. And the other fixed signs, or the fixed signs, are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. So during this next retrograde period, during this season, there may be issues around communication. And it will be very important to not take any shortcuts during this time and to not assume that you're being understood or that somebody knows what you're talking about. Clear communication will be crucial, especially for those 4 signs or anybody who has any planets in fixed signs. The other big energy happening this season is Jupiter will be turning direct in Virgo. So what that means is Jupiter is the planet of expansion, hope, optimism, philosophical ideas, just generally feeling good. Anytime Jupiter touches us in a positive way, we really feel hope and optimism. When it's in Virgo, it's very much about details, anything to do with health or the health industry, and really Jupiter's more about the bigger picture, and when it's in Virgo, it's about detail. So it's big picture detail coming together. And Jupiter has been retrograde since January 7th, and it stays retrograde for about 5 months. So when it moves direct in Virgo, this is great news for the earth signs especially. And the earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So this is a very good time for money, financial affairs, or anything practical when Jupiter turns direct. After the break, I will talk about this week and what's happening for all of us this week. So that was the overview of the season. And after the break, I'm talking about this week.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Hey ladies, do you want to have that good hair day feeling all the time? Gentlemen, would you want your special someone to have that glow, letting you know she is feeling completely satisfied? This feeling and that glow can be yours by embracing your sexual power. So join me, Rachel Kenley, award-winning romance author, on the O-Spot. The O-Spot will guide you to that peak with guest interviews, book discussions, and conversations on the thrills of sexual empowerment. Put the zing back in your life. Come up and see me sometime on the O-Spot, live on Hump Day at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Hi, this is Julie Geigel.
I'm Maggie Chula.
And I'm Catherine Glass.
And we're the Psychic Angel Channelers. Join us every week here on OMTimes Radio for Angel Talk Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
The angels have heard your call and are here to help.
Are you ready to receive?
Remember your magnificence with Angel Talk Tuesday.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Hi there, this is Kelli Fox, your host and astrologer of the Astrology Show. And this week I'm talking about spring and the season of spring through the summer solstice and what we can be expecting. So I just covered the meaning of spring according to astrology and the celebration of the astrological new year this weekend, and what we are to expect with the planetary shifts and changes. And now I want to take a closer look, closer to home, and what is going on this week. So today we've had a very, very busy astrological day. So today for you may have all been about research or communication or digging deep beneath the surface. So what happened today? We had Mercury square Saturn and Mercury sextile Pluto. So what that means is Mercury is a planet of the mind, communication, how we think, how we speak, and it was making a positive aspect to Pluto. Pluto is the most powerful planet of all. And yes, astrologers do still consider Pluto a planet, regardless of what anyone else says. The energy of Pluto is the most powerful, forceful force of nature. Its myth is Lord of the Underworld. So it's definitely not something or someone to downgrade. So today, Mercury forms a sextile to Pluto. So that means it's an excellent time to research, investigate, get to the bottom of something, get to the truth of something. Now, I also said that Mercury was forming a square to Saturn. So what that means is information that we may find or unfold or reveal might be met with a challenge from an authority. So there might be something that's been hidden that comes to light today or around this time, this week, and an authority might try to block it. Now, this could affect us in our personal life, depending on how this influence touches us personally in our astrological chart, or it could be something in the news. So it's a good time, a good week to get to the bottom of something, to find out something. Tomorrow, Tuesday, Venus in Pisces opposes Jupiter in Virgo. So what that means is when Venus opposes Jupiter, it's about excess, and particularly with spending. So Venus is the planet of love and money, and Jupiter is the planet of excess or expansion. So when two planets are brought together by a hard or a challenging aspect or influence, in this case an opposition, we have to put more of the negative keywords to the planets and the signs that they're in. So we have Venus opposite Jupiter. This is about indulgence, excessive behavior, but you can also get the positive attributes as well, affection, personal warmth. It just depends on which way which you prefer to focus on. But take care tomorrow, especially when this influence hits around spending. If you're looking to make a large purchase or an expensive purchase tomorrow, just be aware of all the information, because with this influence, it's about wanting to dive in and just go straight for it. Say if you're looking to buy a new car, it might be better to shop around, get a better price, particularly with the influence of, as I just talked about, Mercury sextile Pluto. It's all about investigation and research. If you're looking to buy something, now is the time to shop around or research for a better price rather than paying full retail price or paying too much for something. So it's a time just to put the brakes on a bit or do some research before making that large purchase. On Wednesday, we have, and this is big news of the week, the biggest news, of course, being the springtime, the equinox, but we have Jupiter trine Pluto. So that's good. I like that energy a lot. And anytime I've done a reading, and if I see that in somebody's natal chart, I know this person will be very fortunate when it comes to finances. So Jupiter being the planet of luck and good fortune, expansion, hope, optimism, trine is a fortunate or a very good aspect where two or more planets are 120 degrees apart, and that represents good, easy, flowing, fortunate. So Jupiter trine Pluto, and as I just said, Pluto is the planet of power. It's the planet that affects all of us. It's a very global energy. So we have optimism coming together with something big. So whenever I see Jupiter and Pluto connected in a fortunate way, it's usually about big money, things that are big, big finances, big money, fortunate events. Now, Jupiter is currently in Virgo and Pluto is in Capricorn. So when Jupiter in Virgo, Jupiter typically stays in a sign for a year, and Jupiter is in Virgo now. Yes, it is retrograde, which isn't too bad when it's forming a trine to Pluto, but it's more about big picture and detail coming together to form a fortunate aspect to Pluto and Capricorn. Now, Pluto stays in a sign anywhere between 12 and 28 years. It's the outermost planet, and it really does have a long cycle. Now, Pluto in Capricorn is about corporations, big business, big government. So it's interesting, this mix of Jupiter in Virgo coming together with Pluto in Capricorn. So if it's affecting you in your chart or you personally, it's definitely favorable for money and finances. So it's a time of renewal and purification. It's like a rebirth around finances and money, not just on a personal but also a global level, as I said before. And with Jupiter, it's like we seek the deeper meaning and significance of our lives. It's like Jupiter is also the planet of philosophy and philosophical ideals. So it's like, why am I here? What am I doing? What is my purpose? And Pluto will reveal, because it's connecting favorably with Jupiter. It's like there will be a revelation, or there'll be something that is revealed in a positive way. This is good news for everybody, but more so for the earth signs. And the earth signs are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. So this is good news, especially for these signs and anybody that has any planets in earth signs in their chart. Specifically, the degree it's happening, I'm just checking my calendar here, it's happening about 17 degrees of the earth signs. So anybody that was born roughly in the middle of any earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, this is a very fortunate and favorable influence for you. And also, as I keep talking about, the whole show is about springtime, the equinox, but also at that time, the sun moves into Aries on Saturday. So it's the start of a brand new cycle. Sun in Aries, it's a great time for new beginnings. This is good news for the fire signs, and the fire signs being Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. At this time, there's a lot of energy, Aries is a very brave sign. It's very courageous. I always say it's a sign of the warrior, the brave, courageous warrior. It's a time for stepping out of our comfort zone. Sometimes there might be things that we're afraid to do, or we lack courage, or we have fear around a certain issue. this is the time of year to tackle it. When the sun is in Aries, many of us have a lot more courage. And I'm getting the visualization as I say that of Superman in the cape, and the cape flowing in the wind as you're flying into your next adventure or dealing with the next issue. So when the sun is in Aries, there's very much hope and courage and optimism and bravery, and with the energies, the other planetary energies going on with the Jupiter-Pluto connection, it's a really nice flow of energy. Of course, the energy of Aries is definitely the brave warrior, but a lot of times detail might be overlooked, or we dive into something without really looking at the consequences or the detail of something. So it's great to dive into something. It's great to have that courage and be fearless and be brave. But at the same time, it's important to check off the detail. Make sure that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and that we're reviewing what the consequence of our actions might be. It's particularly because Mars is the ruler of Aries. Mars, its ruling planet, will be turning retrograde next month. So something that we might dive into at this time when the sun moves into Aries. Next month, we might find that when Mars turns retrograde, the brakes are put onto something. So our optimism might be diminished because maybe we jumped in too fast, or we went too fast with something. Instead of taking it step by step, we're so enthusiastic that we'll just dive straight into it. So it's important at this time that we make sure that everything's double-checked and we're doing something for the right reason, not just because we're bored with the status quo, but, there really is a support there to see something through. So after the break, I'm going to break it down even further and go through the weekly horoscopes for your sign and everyone else's sign. That's after the break.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Eros Evolution is where sexuality and spirituality meets. Join me, clinical sexologist Martha Tara Lee, on Eros Evolution on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network. As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millisers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hi there, welcome back to the Astrology Show. I'm Kelli Fox, your astrologer and host. This show, I'm talking about spring and springtime. And now I'm going to go through this week and how this week will be affecting you and your sign. And I'm going to do it in order and start with Aries, the very first sign of the zodiac. If you're an Aries or you know an Aries, this week is about wrapping things up. It's about completion before the sun moves into your sign on Saturday. So it's going to be very important. It might be a time to wind things down, wrap things up before leaping into something else. You're definitely known as a trendsetter and a starter, but it's very important to finish something before diving into something new. If you're a Taurus, or you know a Taurus, or you have a Taurus in your life, this is a great week for you. The reason being because I mentioned before there's a planetary influence. It's Jupiter trine Pluto, Jupiter in Virgo, Pluto in Capricorn. They're the other two earth signs in your triplicity of earth signs or the earth element. So you as a Taurus make up the triplicity of the Jupiter-Pluto connection. So you will benefit greatly when it comes to finances. So if there's anything, I'm not saying take a risk, I'm saying take a calculated risk when it comes to finances this week. It's a very good week for you financially. If you're a Gemini or you have a Gemini in your life, family life is boosted by greater harmony and intimacy between you and your partner. Fitting in couple time is really important, as well as time with the whole family and the kids. Even the in-laws, include that with your family time. It's a really nice week for family time and couple time. If you're a Cancer, a sweet, nurturing Cancer, you and your partner can inspire one another this week. You've had the planet Pluto opposing your sign for a really long time. You might feel like your partner's calling the shots constantly, but this week you might get a reprieve from that. The best way to do that is to talk about shared goals or create new ones. This is a time of inspiration and hope. We're between eclipses, and share your dreams and goals, and they might take on a new significance as you make great progress towards them. Motivation will be high, and keep striving for what you want. Reach for the stars. If you're a Leo, or you know a Leo, or have a Leo in your life, your take on the bigger picture this week is becoming more philosophical. And the planet Saturn is in Sagittarius, which is a compatible sign for you, a compatible energy. And others may look to you as the authority or as the person that has the wisdom or the experience in a particular area. This gives you a more cheerful perspective on what you're used to seeing in the daily grind. Now perhaps you can see a point to what and why you're doing something. So this is a time to look at life from a higher perspective, and also financially with this Jupiter-Pluto trine. This is about finances. So there might be a good windfall this week. Something good financially might be coming your way because Jupiter, the planet of luck and good fortune, is in your money house. If you're a Virgo or you have a Virgo in your life, flirtations and power games are risky but irresistible. If only because you find someone's attentions flattering, and who doesn't usually? Anyway, be careful. You don't play with fire if you don't want to get your fingers burned. With Jupiter currently in your sign, taking things to the extreme might be irresistible. But as a sensible Virgo, you will know when to stop. If you're a Libra, a nostalgic family week finds you yearning for a time when life was easier, or perhaps when the kids were smaller, or times gone by. The passage of time is sentimental for you now, but it's really important to live in the present, especially because next week's lunar eclipse is in your sign. So this is a testing time for you when it comes to your personal relationships and how you get on with other people. You're definitely a people pleaser, but the eclipse triggering you might bring things to the fore that you weren't expecting. If you're a Scorpio, you want to make a difference this week, so why not take on a leadership role, perhaps in a local community group or some sort of society or network that you're part of. You are somebody who others will look up to at this time, and with all the planetary influences going on, you might want to expand your horizons. Pluto is your ruler, and so it connects favorably with Jupiter, planet of luck and good fortune. You will want to expand. You'll be feeling hopeful and optimistic. You'll also have a way with words, which can both inspire and motivate other people. If you're a Sagittarius, Jupiter is your ruling planet and it connects favorably with Pluto. Now is the time to branch out, especially to foreign destinations. If it's booking a travel trip or business dealings in foreign countries or even meeting foreign people, this is a bold and confident week for you where you want to get out and about, and always, though, take calculated risks. Sometimes with you, your natural exuberism, you want to jump right into something, but it's best always to be calculated and research. And as I said, today's a great day for researching. Showcase your talents this week, especially while you're on a high. And there should be some good financial news as well. If you're a Capricorn, fairness and justice are key issues for you this week. That's because Jupiter and Pluto connect. Pluto is in your sign, and Jupiter is a planet of justice and legalities and hope and optimism. So fairness and justice are key issues for you, and you might find yourself cast in the role of mediator, either at work or in the family. So it's best to call it how you see it, because your perception and understanding at this time is exceptional, as Mercury, planet of the mind, connects with Pluto in your sign in a favorable way. If you're an Aquarian, secrets and repressed emotions are easier to deal with during this week's positive energies. That's because, as I just said, for Capricorn, Mercury, planet of the mind, connects favorably with Pluto. So it's a great time for things to come to the surface, but in a positive way, not in a sudden, unexpected way. And also with Saturn in Sagittarius, which does connect favorably to your sign, this is about looking at life from a higher perspective, from a broader point of view. Details are still important, but you like to be in the cerebral realm and understand life from a higher ideal. So intellectually, this is a good fit for you this week. It's a good time to start counseling or therapy, or to banish those gremlins from the past by confronting them once and for all. This is not a time to keep something hidden or covert or sweep anything under the carpet. It's a time to really pull